We are in quite a disrupted market. And you lived through that, seeing print to digital with the media industry. As a recruiter, what did you look for when you were finding people, senior people, for new markets, for growth markets?
Let me go back 2 seconds with you, if that's okay, which is I also usually spent a fair amount of time talking with potential job seekers or candidates or whatever to see if their mindset was in the right place. Because oftentimes when you go through a disruption like that, I don't care if you're in your 20s, in your 30s, in your 40s, when you go through that kind of disruption, thinking you're going to have a career in a certain industry, you give it your all, you're very passionate about it, and then you've got to switch gears. Are you mentally there yet? And a lot of the time I would spend before we would even become candidates, or I would coach, or I would look for them for a job, I would really make sure if their head was in the right place. Because if it isn't, they're too rigid. And they talk about the old days. And they're like, oh, they could spend part of the interview, if you don't steer it correctly, talking about how great it was, even if they were if they were 28 or 31 years old. So really getting them to a place where they're thinking about their skill set, they're thinking about other industries, and they're open and receiving new ideas, and they're very fluid in their conversation and how they're packaging themselves. So yes, I have gone through a lot of disruption, but when I'm working with candidates in that space, I have to make sure they really are ready to switch gears.